Thanks for coming.
He said he had given a double take. Yeah, so he was telling me.
I'd like to call the caucus to order. First piece of legislation is from Utilities Committee. I believe we're changing that to council as a whole. Are we not, Bob?
Well, we'll have to, either that or do it the next meeting as Utilities Committee. I found out about these when I picked up my agenda. I don't know who ordered them and how these came about.
So the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them will be changing from Utilities Committee to council as a whole.
Yes,
The finance is aware of this, and
we'll also have to change section 1 of it and section 2 of the ordinance. Because section 1 says the Utilities Committee has recommended this. And section 2 says Council Village of Lordstown concurs with the recommendation of the Utilities Committee, and we haven't recommended them. We weren't aware of them.
Well, they were sent to the clerk with instructions to circulate to all members of council.
I found out about it, Paul, and I picked up my agenda.
So what do you want? You want council as a whole?
council
You
as a
have to
whole,
do
and
the
then
council as a whole,
Okay.
and then get rid of the references to the Utility Committee, because we never had a chance to meet on them. These total $70,007 being spent for easements. There's no way to show a paper trail on them.
All right, okay. But we did send them to everybody.
okay, the first one's permanent right-of-way easement from Clean Energy Futures. It will be council as a whole. Mr. Dutton.
Okay. We are going to have to amend the first 4, which are the easements that we are obtaining from Clean Energy Futures. So, if you go to page, you want me to amend these now?
Yeah, because we haven't presented them on the
Okay.
floor, so if you amend them now, we're okay.
All right. So, if you go to the, these are technical changes that their council wanted, which is, I think, nitpicking. But the first line says that Clean Energy Future. I'm on page 9.
Okay.
The first line up there, that Clean Energy Future, they want a hyphen between the word future and Lordstown, okay? And then you go down to the legal description, and after, in the 4th line down, it says Clean Energy Future hyphen Lordstown LLC. And then after that, they want a parenthesis, quote, CEFL, end quote, parent, parenthesis. Okay, everybody with me? All right. And then they want inserted, let me see. That's it for that page. Okay. And then we go to page 11. And you insert description. Okay. You insert a sentence that begins, quote, notwithstanding.
Where do you want that in?
Oh, I'm sorry. After it says easement and description prepared by CT Consultants, Inc. in April 2016. Okay. We add the language, and depicted on Exhibit A. On Exhibit A, attached here too. Okay, you see that at the top? It says easement and description prepared by CT Consultants, Inc. in April 2016. And then you insert a new sentence, or no, the same sentence, and depicted on Exhibit A, quote-unquote, attached here too. And then, if you go down to the second paragraph from the bottom, see where it says the grantor hereby reserves the right to use? You with me?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Insert above that a new paragraph that says, notwithstanding the foregoing, grantee acknowledges and approves the existing building located north of and adjacent to the easement area, parenthesis, as depicted on Exhibit A, parenthesis, and the proposed metering station, that's metering station, to be located south of and adjacent to the easement area, parenthesis, at a final location determined by grantor, parenthesis, end of quote, end quote, period. Okay.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Paul, can we just, when we make the amendment to this in the regular meeting, can somebody just make the amendment and you read them again?
Actually, we're amending
We're
them
doing
now
them right now.
because it has never gone to first
Okay,
reading.
Never got a
okay.
first reading.
Because I didn't get, I got about 1/3 of what you just read.
Okay.
Me too.
Now, the next one appears on page 16. Okay, so up at the top, know all men by these presents that clean energy future hyphen, okay, and then apparently there's a typo in line 3, instrument number. At the very end, you have a 7, that should be an 8.
Fat finger.
You got it? And then in the legal description, on the 4th line down, you have Clean Energy Future hyphen Lordstown LLC. And then they want the acronym CEFL. And then,
CEF hyphen L?
no, CEFL, the acronym.
Okay.
That's what they have, okay? And then the instrument number on the 4th line down, 7 converts to an 8. And then after that description, on page 17, as in the first one, where it says easement and description prepared by CT Consultants, Inc. in April of 2016, add the language and depicted on Exhibit A, attached here too, okay? Now, everybody with me on that?
Yep.
All right. The next one appears on page 22. You add the hyphen at the first line, the Clean Energy Future hyphen Lordstown. And then on the instrument number, it says 201-604-06-00059, and then there's a 68 that should be 58. And then we go down to the next, to the legal description, And on the fourth line down, we insert the hyphen between Clean Energy Future Lordstown. And then we add the acronym CEFL. And then under the instrument number, the 6 at the end changes to a 5. And then on page 23, where it says easement and description prepared by CT Consultants in April of 26, you add the same language in depicted on Exhibit A attached here too. Okay? Now, the last one, same kind of changes, appears on page 28. We got a hyphen after Clean Energy Future, hyphen between Future and Lordstown, that appears on the first line. And then it also appears on the third line of the description, and then fourth line of the description, I'm sorry. And then we add the acronym CEFL, and in the next paragraph down of the description where it says thence north 1 degree 12 feet 30 inches, you add the word west.
It's on there.
Along the western line.
It
Says
says
west along the western line.
you add the word west
Okay.
along the western line. Okay?
Oh, okay.
All right. And then, again, if you go to page 29, where it says easement description, yada, yada, in April of 2016, add the words "and depicted on Exhibit A attached here too." I want you to know these changes came in, what, 45 minutes ago? So,
We know how them lawyers are.
that's right. It's charged by the word. All right, I earned my keep tonight.
Okay, well, the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 ordinances are for council of the whole, and those have to do with the water and sewer easements, whether they be permanent easements or work right-of-way easements for water lines and sewer lines. Are there any comments or questions on any of those? Okay, hearing none. The next one's from Finance Committee, an ordinance authorizing the clerk to transfer the sum of $413 from the general fund to unclaimed money fund. Emergency clause. Comments on that?
No, just, Mr. Mayor, we'd like to get that emergency tonight.
Okay, any other comments? And the next one's from Finance Committee, an ordinance authorizing the clerk to make the following fund transfer within the capital improvement fund and declaring an emergency. Comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is something we want to have passed emergency tonight. This is just the monies that need to be transferred to cover the payment for these easements.
Okay.
So the first 9 ordinances will go emergency tonight then?
Yes. Yes. And hopefully we're about done with this.
Until next meeting.
Okay, is there any questions on the minutes in front of you for disposal this evening? Hearing none, are there any questions on the bills? Hearing none, the floor is open for discussion. I know a couple things are talking about giving Frank Slivko from Scope, who does the landscaping up at the corner, he won't be doing the gazebo, so I give him $300 to dress up the corner. I believe there was a request.
Up to $300.
Up to $300.
And he will turn in receipts to the clerk for all expenditures before we give him the check.
You'll be making a motion on that, correct?
Yes, I'll make a motion unless council wants to discuss it, and if, they don't think it's, worth it or whatever, but he said to put flowers and stuff in there, it's just getting expensive for him.
Okay. Then another thing is, everybody should have got a note from Bill. We have a salt truck, 2 pickups, and a cruiser, which we're going to be taking out of service. And I think
Also our bus.
what?
And also the bus.
And also the bus, yeah.
2 pickups.
2 pickups,
Bus and a cruiser.
no salt truck. Okay.
No salt truck?
Okay.
Well, we'll just have to determine a minimum bid we want to advertise for it. Is that correct, Bill?
If you guys want to put a minimum bid on it.
Okay. We can discuss that under new business, but thought I'd bring it up now so people can think about it until we get to new business. Anything else council wants to discuss at this time?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I just make a comment, so we don't have to do it for the regular meeting. I just got a copy of quotes for our warning systems from Fire Chief Eastham, and we have one more coming in tomorrow, and our committee will be meeting on those next week, probably to make a decision which way we're gonna go. And also, as you're aware, we've already visited, the mayor and I, 5 different departments to find out about this full-time scheduling for our fire department, for the squad. And we're going to visit one more yet, I think this week we plan on doing that. So that's all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Anything else while we're in caucus? Hearing none, caucus is adjourned. Start the regular meeting. I'd like to welcome everybody coming this evening. So please stand and join me for the Lord's Prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and the glory forever. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please, Bill.
Mayor Hill.
Present.
Mr. Vaughn.
Here.
Mr. Mansell.
Present.
Mr. Radka.
Present.
Mrs. Jones.
Present?
Mr. Shealy.
Present.
Mr. Reader.
Present.
Clerk Blank present. Treasurer George Epling.
Here.
Solicitor Paul Dutton.
Present.
Police Chief Brett Milhone.
Present.
Fire Chief Travis Eastham. Planning and Zoning Economic Development Kelly Bordner.
Present.
Parks, Buildings and Grounds Street Commissioner Dale Grimm. Recreation Marty Gibson. Board of Public Affairs. Municipal Engineer Chris Cagala.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to excuse Marty. She told me at the last meeting she would be unavailable this evening. Chief Easton is still on second shift. I just did receive a text from Mr. Grimm. He has the flu. I did not hear anything from the Board of Public Affairs, but if anybody wants to make a motion to excuse.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Mansell, second by Jones. Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Entertain a motion for adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Shealy, second.
Second.
Second by Mansell. Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Entertain a motion for disposal of the minutes of the regular meeting held April 18th, 2016.
So moved.
Moved by Reader, second by Jones. Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Entertain a motion for payment of the bills.
So moved.
Moved by Radka, second. Second Shealy. Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Mayor's report. We have 2 appointments recommended from Bruce Platt that put on for the Water Department. We'll be asking for a brief executive session at the end of the meeting pertaining to village real estate. And that's it for the mayor's report. Is there a clerk's report?
No report, Mayor.
Solicitor's report?
No report.
Treasurer's report?
No report.
No one's here from the Board of Trustees of Public Affairs. Village engineer's report?
Just want to apprise the group that we're continuing with our work on the preliminary engineering phase for the water and sewer lines for the Energy Center. We had a meeting today, kickoff meeting with the Lordstown Energy staff and their contractor, and it was productive. If there's any other questions, I can answer.
Any questions for Chris?
Thank you.
Okay, special reports. Police Chief Milholm.
Submitted my monthly report for April. Answer any questions you have.
Any questions for Brent? Okay, Travis is excused. Planning and Zoning Administrator and Director of Economic Development, Kelly.
No report.
Questions for Kelly? Dale is excused and Marty is excused this evening. Bill, do we have any correspondence this evening?
No correspondence.
Okay, public remarks. If you'd like to make a public remark after I acknowledge you, please come to the microphone and give your name and address so we can get it recorded in the minutes correctly. Jerry.
Jerry After 2036 Salt Springs Road. Anyway, those of you who are here, got this little information about the tear down Lordstown School, what used to be our high school and then elementary. So anyway, the time has come where they're gonna do something with that. So if anybody has any questions, if you fill out this on the back, and I think Kelly has a mailbox here.
Just drop it off in my office. I'm the
All right, so Kelly would review it. I'm on that committee, and so there's been a lot of little things brought up, and some of the things that is like a new flagpole, some kind of a decorative brick, and then the bricks from the original school building around the outside edge, and maybe a little walkway. And if anyone, we haven't decided on, you know, a donation or a price per brick if you want your name on it. We'll make that happen, but if you got suggestions, hey, let us know so we can you know, review it and see what we can do about it. And, so anyway, I hope everybody purchased a brick. Okay. Any questions now?
I think the flyers are over there, right here. Are they
Yeah.
over on the table?
Yeah, the information sheets are over there. If you need an extra one, hey, they're there.
Yeah, thank you, Jerry.
Okay?
Where would this be built, Jerry? Where would this be built? These-
Okay, you know where the existing flagpole used to be?
Yes.
I mean, right now, there's a little tree growing there, and there's a little bit of growth around there. So it'll be in that area, and the idea is a decorative brick, outside edge of the bricks from the building. And if you want your name on it, you know, decide how we're gonna do that. And on the other side, towards the Lordstown Christian Church, is where the Lions Club will have a new building. Anyway, they took some of that Lordstown Lions Club property, and in turn, they're gonna put a new Lions Club building down there, and they're gonna pay for it. The Lordstown School will still own it, but the Lions Club will use it. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Are there any other public remarks? Okay, council remarks. Hearing none, committee reports. Finance, Mr. Radka.
We just had the two pieces we'd like to see pass emergency tonight.
Questions for Ron? Parks, buildings, grounds, general improvements, streets and sidewalks, Mrs. Jones.
I have no report this evening.
Questions for Karen? Public safety and welfare, Mr. Reader.
No report.
Questions for Don? Public utilities, Mr. Bond.
No report this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Questions for Bob? Transportation, recreation, and senior services, Mr. Shealy.
No report this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Questions for Howard? Hearing none, Bill, could we have the first piece of legislation?
From council as a whole for emergency passage, an ordinance authorizing the village of Lordstown to acquire a permanent right-of-way and sanitary sewer easement from Clean Energy Future Lordstown LLC and declaring an emergency.
Comments or motions?
Motion to suspend the rules.
Motion to suspend the rules by Mansell, second?
Second.
Second by Shealy, roll call, please.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Mansell?
Yes.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Radka?
Yes.
Mr. Shealy?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to suspend the rules. Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Moved by Radka, second?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Second by Reader. Comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Shealy?
Yes.
Mr. Radka?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
Mr. Mansell?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to adopt ordinance 44, 2016. Next, please.
From council as a whole for emergency passage, an ordinance authorizing the village of Lordstown to acquire permanent right-of-way and sanitary sewer easement from Clean Energy Future Lordstown LLC and declaring an emergency.
Comments or motions?
Motion to suspend the rules?
Motion to suspend the rules by Radka, second.
Second.
Second by Mansell. Roll call, please.
Mr. Mansell?
Yes.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Radka?
Yes.
Mr. Shealy?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to suspend the rules. Motion to adopt?
So move.
Moved by Shealy.
Second.
Second Bond. Comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Radka?
Yes.
Mr. Shealy?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
Mr. Mansell?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to adopt ordinance 45, 2016. Next, please.
From council as a whole for emergency passage, an ordinance authorizing the Village of Lordstown to acquire a permanent right-of-way and sanitary sewer easement from Clean Energy Future Lordstown LLC and declaring an emergency.
Comments or motions?
Motion to suspend rules?
Second.
Motion to suspend the rules by Mansell, second by Jones. Roll call.
Mr. Vaughn?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Mansell?
Yes.
Mr. Radka?
Yes.
Mr. Shealy?
Yes.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to suspend the rules. Motion to adopt?
So moved.
Moved by Radka, second.
Second.
Second Shealy. Comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
Mr. Shealy?
Yes.
Mr. Mansell?
Yes.
Mr. Radka?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to adopt ordinance 46, 2016. Next, please.
From council as a whole for emergency passage, an ordinance authorizing the Village of Lordstown to acquire permanent right-of-way and sanitary sewer easement from Clean Energy Future Lordstown LLC and declaring an emergency.
Comments or motions?
Motion to suspend?
Motion to suspend the rules by Mansell, second.
Second.
Second by Jones. Roll call, please.
Mr. Shealy?
Yes.
Mr. Radka?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
Mr. Mansell?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to suspend the rules. Motion to adopt?
So moved.
Moved by Bond, second Shealy. Comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
Mr. Shealy?
Yes.
Mr. Mansell?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Radka?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to adopt ordinance 47, 2016. Next, please.
From council as a whole for emergency passage, an ordinance authorizing the Village of Lordstown to acquire a permanent right-of-way and water line easement from Vian Investments LLC and declaring an emergency.
Comments or motions?
Motion to suspend the rules?
Motion by Radka to suspend the rules, second.
Second.
Second Shealy. Roll call.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Radka?
Yes.
Mr. Shealy?
Yes.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
Mr. Mansell?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to suspend the rules. Motion to adopt?
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Jones, second Mansell. Comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Mansell?
Yes.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Radka?
Yes.
Mr. Shealy?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to adopt ordinance 48, 2016. Next, please.
From council as a whole for emergency passage, an ordinance authorizing the Village of Lordstown to acquire a temporary right-of-way and construction easement from Vian Investments LLC and declaring an emergency.
Comments or motions?
Motion to suspend the rules?
Motion by Mansell, suspend the rules. Second.
Second.
Second by Radka. Roll call, please.
Mr. Shealy?
Yes.
Mr. Radka?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Mansell?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to suspend the rules. Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Moved by Shealy, second.
Second.
Second by Jones. Comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Mansell?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
Mr. Radka?
Yes.
Mr. Shealy?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to adopt ordinance 49, 2016.
Mayor, can I call point of order for a minute? I need to check on him, see if he's okay.
He's up.
Sure.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, next, please.
From council as a whole for emergency passage, an ordinance authorizing the Village of Lordstown to acquire a permanent right-of-way and sanitary sewer easement from Florence F. Ziegler, unmarried, Mary F. Butler, unmarried, and Charles S. Festemaker, unmarried, and declaring an emergency.
Comments or motions?
Motion to suspend.
Motion to suspend the rules by Jones, second.
Second.
Second by Shealy. Roll call.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
Mr. Shealy?
Yes.
Mr. Mansell?
Yes.
Mr. Radka?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to suspend the rules. Motion to
So
adopt?
moved.
Shealy, second. Second, Bond. Comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Radka?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Shealy?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Mansell?
Yes.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to adopt ordinance 50, 2016. Next, please.
From council as a whole for emergency passage. An ordinance authorizing the village of Lordstown to acquire a temporary right-of-way and construction easement from Ronald M. Krischer and Karen A. Krischer, husband and wife, and declaring an emergency.
Comments or motions?
Motion to suspend.
Motion suspended by Jones, second.
Second.
Second, Shealy, roll call.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
Mr. Mansell?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Shealy?
Yes.
Mr. Radka?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to suspend the rules. Motion to adopt?
So moved.
Moved by Shealy, second Bond. Comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Mansell?
Yes.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Radka?
Yes.
Mr. Shealy?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to adopt ordinance 51, 2016. Next, please.
From council as a whole for emergency passage. An ordinance authorizing the village of Lordstown to acquire a permanent right-of-way and waterline easement from Ronald M. Krischer and Karen A. Krischer, husband and wife, and declaring an emergency.
Comments or motions?
Motion to suspend the rules.
Motion by Shealy to suspend the rules, second.
Second.
Second by Mansell. Roll call, please.
Mr. Shealy?
Yes.
Mr. Radka?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Mansell?
Yes.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to suspend the rules. Motion to adopt.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Moved by Bond, second Shealy. Comments? Roll call.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
Mr. Shealy?
Yes.
Mr. Mansell?
Yes.
Mr. Radka?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to adopt ordinance 52, 2016. Next, please.
From Finance Committee for emergency passage. An ordinance authorizing the clerk to transfer the sum of $413.70 from the general fund into the unclaimed money fund pursuant to ordinance 3999 and declaring an emergency.
Comments or motions?
Motion to suspend rules.
Motion to suspend the rules by Radka, second.
Second.
Second by Reader. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Radka?
Yes.
Mr. Shealy?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Mansell?
Yes.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to suspend the rules. Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Moved by Shealy, second.
Second.
Second by Mansell. Comments? Roll call.
Mr. Mansell?
Yes.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Radka?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Shealy?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to adopt ordinance 53, 2016. Next, please.
From Finance Committee for emergency passage. An ordinance authorizing the clerk to make the following fund transfer within the capital improvement fund and declaring an emergency.
Comments or motions?
Move to suspend.
Motion to suspend the rules by Jones, second.
Second.
Second by Radka. Roll call.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Mansell?
Yes.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Radka?
Yes.
Mr. Shealy?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to suspend the rules. Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Moved by Mansell, second by Radka. Comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Shealy?
Yes.
Mr. Radka?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Reader?
Yes.
Mr. Mansell?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried to adopt ordinance 54, 2016. Any old business council would like to discuss at this time? New business, I'll go first. Got recommendations from Mr. Platt. He wants to put Jason Matthew on permanent part-time labor in the water department. I'll entertain a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Moved by Jones, second.
Second.
Second Shealy, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. He'd also like to put Nicholas Johnson on as a seasonal employee for the water department. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Radka, second.
Second.
Second Shealy, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I'll call for the executive session at the end. Any other new business?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we authorize the clerk to spend up to $300 to Frank Slifko from the Lordstown scope for maintaining the flower beds at the center of town.
Everybody heard the motion by Mr. Mansell. Is there a second to that
Second.
motion? Jones? Second by Jones. Comments or questions on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. What's the council's pleasure on the 4 vehicles we have?
I think the suggestion from Mr. Blank was that we put a minimum bid on these at $300 or $350 each,
$350.
somewhere in that neighborhood.
Okay. Want to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion by Jones to put $300 on each of the 4 vehicles for disposal. Minimum bid. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Radka. Comments?
Yes, Mayor, I'm not opposing this at all, but Brent, what do we normally get when we crush a vehicle? Because this was brought to my attention one time by somebody here just recently about the cost it is, and I told the clerk, let's go through the bidding or the advertising procedure one more time and keep track of all the costs, because if it's costing us more to advertise for them, and then we're only getting 300 and we can get 500 at the crusher, why not just crush them?
When I was asked to get a price on scrap, at the time, we were getting rid of some of those vehicles that were left on First Energy's property. At the time that I called, they were getting $100 a ton. By the time we actually started to tow, it had jumped to $140 a ton. So
140 a ton, and what does a police cruiser weigh, about 4 ton? 3 ton?
No.
No? No? What are,
Ton and a half?
about,
Ton and a half?
About a ton, ton and a half.
okay. What's it costing us to advertise, Bill?
I looked, I believe the last cruiser that we advertised was like $150.
When you put 5, it'll
Well,
be
we have
cheaper
4
per
of them right
vehicle.
now.
You have 4 vehicles.
Cheaper is gonna be a bigger ad.
Yeah.
But I mean, it won't be $150 per vehicle, if that's what you're.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I just wanted to get some figures out there for somebody, for us to think on. I mean,
That's a good idea, John.
Well, we want to raise
I
it to,
think if you have one vehicle to get rid of,
It's not worth it.
it's probably almost a wash.
yeah,
But if you have, in this case, 4, maybe it's better to take bids, I don't know.
okay.
want to raise it to 350 minimum bid?
Yeah, 350 minimum bid.
I think that's what you had in your email, wasn't it, Bill, 350?
Yeah, yeah, 350.
Yeah, the motion.
You want to remake your motion for
I'll remake my
350?
motion for 350.
Okay, do we have a second at 350?
Second.
Second by Mr. Shealy. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Is there any other new business before I ask for a brief executive session?
Additional public remarks?
Okay, and that will be after additional public remarks. Are there any additional public remarks this evening?
Could I ask Jerry one question?
Sure.
Jerry, was this proposal for like a monument type thing where the flagpole used to be, was this discussed with the school?
When you're facing this
I know where you're putting it. I know exactly where you're putting it.
corners, the little decorative pieces up there,
Mm-hmm,
that will be, if they can get them off in one piece, down in
right.
that area, there'll probably be about a 20-foot circle
Mm-hmm,
with a stone, a pretty good sized stone from the Pilo farm.
all right.
And on that will be, you know, whatever we want to put on there about the Lordstown school. Then below that, where the stone come from.
Okay.
And hey, like I said, anybody has any suggestions? Hey,
No, I'm not questioning what it's going to look like or questioning the fact it's going to be put there. I think it's a good idea. The reason I brought it up, if it was discussed with the school, because one of the meetings that the mayor and I was in with the school when we were first talking about some of this LEC coming in and what was going to happen, there was conversation of them selling the corner. And I was wondering if we did something like that, if it would block the sale of it.
If I may.
well, essentially,
Well,
mostly
Bruce-
that's going to be all green area. So we can place it wherever, you know, catty corner, like
not
facing
getting your question.
what's already across the street.
Okay.
You know, the little Lordstown wall there.
Bruce?
The committee that Jerry, myself, Kelly's on, it was formed by Mr. Armstrong, and also on that committee, there are a number of other people, but there's also Mrs. Hiller and
Bill Catlin.
Catlin, you know, so the board is included in
Okay.
in this committee.
All right, because I just was wondering, I mean, I think it's a good idea,
Yeah.
being a graduate from the school and everything, and having a little history thing there, but I just was wondering if they were still even tossing around selling it, if this would block it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't mention to you, but Harvey Hood's gonna take me up. I'm gonna take pictures and video of the school. And then down at the site, where right now they already started construction for that power plant. So, anybody has any suggestions or that, hey, fill out this little paper and
I mean, I think it
We'll
would be a
all
good
look it over.
idea to fill out the paper if that's a suggestion. The last that we heard, it was a situation where they wanted to make it a green area, at least, you know, right at that corner there, at the corner of Todd and Salt Springs, you know, back a little bit. They wanted to keep a green area right there. And that's where they wanted to put the memorial and the bricks and so on and so forth. And I guess that this was, from what I could understand, because I wasn't at the first couple of meetings, but I don't
There's
know.
been 2 meetings so
Bruce
far.
was, and I guess that it was the board's suggestion, the school board's suggestion that it stay green, I believe, and then
Okay.
have this committee that was, you know, and there's gotta be like, what, 10 or 12 people on the
At least
committee,
that.
so, and they're coming up with ideas that will ultimately be proposed to the school board as to what will happen, you know, or, you know, some suggestions of what could happen. But I guess it was the school board's pleasure not to place a business there.
Okay.
And the parking lot will still stay the same unless something comes up after the school's tore down.
Okay, is there any other public comments? Okay, all in.
Mayor,
Well, we got
Mayor.
one.
Yes, Richard.
Do I have to come up?
Yeah, come up and,
Come on down.
My name is Richard Coe. I live at 3391 Lordstown Line Road. My question is, they mentioned something about putting in an all-weather track. Where is that going to go? Anybody know? Was that supposed to go where the school was?
we don't know where that's supposed to go. They're talking about possibly putting it in front of the elementary school in that big green space there,
Okay.
or behind the high school. You know, they don't know yet. That money will be forthcoming November of 2017.
Okay, I just thought they were wanted to say they're going to tear the school down and put the track
No.
or something.
No, they have the money for the tear down the school, or I don't know if they have enough, but they, you know, they got what was given to them from Clean Energy,
Okay.
and the other money's due November 17th, 2017, excuse
Good enough.
me.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other public remarks? Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to turn to executive session to discuss sale of village property, inviting council, mayor, solicitor. Clerk, you'll be brief.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Reader, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Shealy. Comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes.
Mr. Mansell,
Yes.
Mr. Reader,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Radka.
Yes.
Mr. Shealy.
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays, motion carried for the executive session. We'll now adjourn. When we come out, we'll reconvene the meeting and adjourn the meeting.